Who's forgiveness for? Is it for you or the person you're forgiving?
It's for you.
How come?
Because the person you're holding a grudge or resentment against is losing no sleep over what you're holding a grudge and resentment against them for. They don't know that you're here, and it's serving you 0%. Holding on to a grudge, holding on to resentment does nothing but hook you up.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is unhooking yourself from that situation. You can be wise from that situation and don't put yourself back into harm's way, so to speak. Just learn from your experience. But harboring resentment and holding a grudge is stupid. It holds you in a holding pattern. You can't move.
Yeah.
You cannot move until this, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
The bitterness.
The bitterness gets bigger because there's no release. Forgiveness releases you from it.
Yeah.
And helps you to move on with your life.
So what's your journey with forgiveness been like then?
Tough. It's not easy. It's not inherent. We're not born with a forgiveness bone in our body. It's a learned practice. But when you can frame it in that space that it benefits you, you start to be able to see the benefits of it and live in more of a free space with your heart.
So what's been the main challenge with it then, if you can see how beneficial it is?
I don't know where it comes from, but if someone hurts you, you want to hurt them. And even to the other extreme, when people have been hurt, they often hurt people before the people hurt them. It's kind of this form of control, but all of that is a slavery of such. You're bound to protecting yourself so much that you end up being a real pain in the ass to be around. And you treat life at arm's length, and you can't get intimate with people because you're always on the lookout for the betrayal.
So now we're talking about trust, and when you've been hurt and that trust is broken, you find it hard to let others in again.
Real hard.
I remember you were testing me a lot when we first got together. And
I didn't even know I was doing it.
Yeah. What did I say?
This is offensive.
Yeah. Why?
Because I wasn't taking you for your word, at your word. I was always looking for the hidden agenda. I was reading between the lines. I was hearing the words out of your mouth, but I didn't believe them because I was shading it with what I'd experienced in previous relationships. And that blocked our intimacy. It almost pushed you completely away. And I didn't even know I was doing it until you said that. So that was, then I had the choice to go, well, what do I do with this? The choice always falls on you. You've got to say, well, if I want this relationship or if I want to move on, or there has to be a why. For me, the why was you. I wanted to get closer to you emotionally. And the only way to do that was to drop my guard.
Wow, yeah.
And that was, I still practice it. I still have to practice it. It's becoming less of a conscious effort. The more I practice it, the more it becomes a subconscious sort of position. And you need to get into that space of consciously bringing it back to the front of your mind and saying, look, forgiveness is for me, it's not for them. Trusting somebody is going to benefit me in the long run. I will allow myself to be available emotionally and stop pushing people away. It's not easy, but it can be done.
And worth it?
If they find a you in the mix, it's very worth it. Forgiveness is very worth it if we just pedal back to that, because that's always for you. It unhooks you. Trusting other people is not always worth it because some people can't be trusted.
So that's discernment, isn't it?
Yeah, be wise. Be wise, but don't paint everyone with the same brush. So I try and take people at face value, but I'd be lying if I said I'd just go, hey man, you're my best friend now. I don't do that.
I don't do that either.
And I don't think you should. You need to be able to go, I'm open. You're not on trial as such, but I've got to prove myself as much as you do. You know what I mean? Like a relationship is a two-way thing.
Well, trust is built incrementally, isn't it?
It takes a lifetime to build, 5 minutes to lose. It's a finite resource. So that's another aspect of relationship. Don't take the trust you have in someone else for granted. Nurture it, protect it, let it grow, but also contribute to it. It has to be a two-way thing. You have to both come to that party.